My name is Rafał Milczarski. I'm from Poland. I'm one of the first scholars here at Downside School. We came here in September 1993 with a great friend of mine, Igor Korczagin, as the first two Polish scholars to arrive at Downside School.
Yes, my name is Igor Korczagin. I'm also from Poland, and yeah, I agree with what Rafał said.
Where in Poland do you come from?
I come from a little town called Wejherowo, which is in the north of Poland, not far from Gdańsk.
And I came from Radom, a city of over 200,000 people south of Warsaw, in Mazowsze, in Mazowian Voivodeship.
Okay, and tell me, how did you come to Downside? How did that happen?
I think both myself and Rafa, we were applying for a UWC scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And back then in 1993, I guess there was no English scholarships as they are functioning now. And we, I think it was a last minute offer that Downside submitted to UWC. And I guess we were just at the very top of the list of the pupils that were selected, and we were lucky enough to be offered that scholarship.
So your parents put your name forward for this?
No,
We had to go.
We put ourselves.
So
Yeah,
how
we had
old
to
were
go
you?
through a recruitment process, and to be honest, we were not probably were not the top top pupils there, because we didn't get the UWC scholarship for which we have applied then. But through the UWC, the people who organized the UWC selection, some people on the Polish committee of UWC, they had connections with Downside through the families, and there was one particular Polish family that was, I think, instrumental to reinstating the link between Poland and Downside that existed since the beginning of the 20th century, really. It was the family of Kochanski.
And the lady on the Polish UWC committee, her name was Marzena Reich, and it's through her husband's family that the connection with the Kochanski family occurred. And as Igor said, we both participated in the scholarship selection procedure for UWC scholarships. But there were only 7 places. In my year, I applied in 1992 to start the school in 1993. There were, I think, from what I remember, 1,700 applicants, and there were only 7 places. And I must have come either 8th or 9th, literally, it was, we almost got in, but we didn't get in because it was very, very competitive at that time.
Yeah. I think there has to be also the divine action here that we were selected. At least I believe in that. So because it was just the phone that my mother received from the UWC committee, and imagine what would have happened if she wouldn't pick up the phone, and probably she, somebody else would, somebody else who was further down the list would have been offered the scholarship. So, and this was a very last moment. I think we found out about this in August.
No, we found out in September. I remember that very clearly because
even later.
I went, that was following the 1st of September 1993. The school had started already. I remember on a Saturday I went with my father to the forest because there is this Polish habit of picking mushrooms in forests. So we come back with baskets full of mushrooms, and my mom is very, very excited, and she said, they phoned from BWC. And if you want to go, it's a public school for boys in England. You've got to be there on Thursday, and it was literally like
it was last moment,
2 or 3 days away. So we came to London. We were picked up from the station. Well, we came by bus, by the way.
It was a 24-hour journey by bus. There was no Ryanair or any other cheap airlines back then.
In fact, the first journey was longer because we had a 6-hour stopover at Amsterdam. So the normal direct one is 24 to 26 hours, but our first journey was around 32 hours. So after 32 hours, we got picked up by the Kochanski family, by Teresa
By
and
Mrs.
Halik
Yeah.
Kochanski. Halik Kochanski, she was a student here at Downside School in the 1970s or 1980s, when there was the first attempt to make the school coeducational. We stayed the night at their place, and they brought us to Downside and left us here. So the rest is history.
And tell me, coming all the way in that long journey from Poland, what was your first impressions of this school?
It was excitement because imagine this was just a few years after the wall collapsed that divided Europe in two parts, right? So Poland became an independent country. So we were coming from a completely different part of Europe. So there was excitement, and also there was a little bit of fear, I guess. We were anxious what's going to happen to us, whether our English is good enough or not, whether we'll be able to.
And it wasn't.
Yes. So on one hand excitement, and then on the other hand fear and anxiety. But I think very soon we realized that Downside has welcomed us here, and it became also our second home, if you could say. We could say that certainly. So for the next 2 years we were here, and we were very happy here.
For me, the first Michaelmas term was tough. I missed my family a lot. If the first impression of the school was absolutely mind blowing. I mean, we came from a country that, over the last several hundreds of years, got destroyed on a regular basis. So to suddenly come to a country which is so well established and has so much history around. I mean, even the premises here at Downside, the church, the abbey, the school. I mean, it was all amazing, something we had not had in Poland at all. So that was very, very, very impressive. I mean, we felt very privileged. At the same time, yes, we did think, is our English good enough? Are we going to be able to catch up with everything and so forth? We ended up, of course, doing very well, and we both got places at Cambridge University, so that was a very successful thing. But for the first term was tough. It rained all the time, typical English weather. We lived in Taylor's Row, and at that time it wasn't particularly warm in Taylor's Row. So there were a lot of things, and of course, we missed Poland and the families as well.
But what was comforting here, I think, is that we arrived at a Catholic community. So a lot of things were the same as they were back home. So that I think that gave us a lot of comfort.
And did you try new things when you were here? Did you try new sports, or what opportunities did it open up for you?
I was amazed at the sports facilities here. To be honest, I did try to play rugby, but it hasn't worked very very well. To be honest, I never understood the game. Played a little bit of soccer. My real passion was cross-country running, which I did every single day at 6 o'clock. Which, probably the kilometers I ran at Downside is what kept me alive for a long time, despite a very stressful job. Then of course we had lots and lots of other activities. Of course studying, but also religiously. This was an amazing period for certainly in my life. We had a very 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 deep religious life here at Downside. You didn't have to, but we actually both had a very deep religious life, a real connection with God. We went to Mass every day with Father Lawrence. He was fantastic monk, very religious, very deep thinker, and he organized those masses every day during lunchtime, very quick, only 15 minutes or something. But we had that connection. He was also our donor for religious studies, so we had also a weekly meeting with him to discuss various topics.
But there are other activities as well. In music, for example, Downside was always very famous for its music lessons and the choir. So I sang at the Schola Cantorum. So we sang every Sunday. I learned how to sing, for example, Gregorian chant, which was a new thing to me. There were also lots of societies, like debating society or even the Vintners Society, which I really enjoyed.
And tell me now, both of you have children here now.
Yes.
So what was it that you wanted them to experience? What was that decision? Was that an easy decision for you? Was it a difficult decision? Or?
It was an easy decision in the sense that I wanted to give my children the same experience that I had 30 years ago. It was a life-changing experience, not only being in a spiritual place like this, but also having being in a different country, so also experiencing different cultures, but in an environment that is very that allows you to develop as well. And I think that's exactly what happened to us. And you probably would agree with me. We wanted to give the same experience and opportunity to our children. To be honest, Downside is an obvious choice for me, being an old Gregorian. I cannot imagine sending my children to a different school. So if it has to be Downside or at the school back in Poland.
For me, Downside was a total game changer in my life. The experience I had here, it was so formative, so deep, so important, and I had absolutely no doubts whether my daughter should come here or not. And if, in fact, if you think, and I get very emotional when I think about this, but the connection between Poland and Downside is so strong and so important, and the Downside has been so great for Poland. We were the first scholars that arrived here in 1993. Every single year after that, at least one, and sometimes even 6 people from Poland were invited here or on full or partial scholarships. There is a group probably exceeding 60, maybe approaching 100 people who are old Gregorians who have been to the school, who have been formed by the school, and we have really, really important from the stance of the Polish society people who have the Downside experience. And this has been very good for the Polish society, I believe.
And we are very grateful for this. So sending our children is the least that we can do for Downside.